Nicole Papiano, and this is Learning Pro Intros. Today I'm here with Mohsin Memon. Mohsin, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Mohsin Memon, and I design games for a living. And we build games that enable engagement and learning for various organizations.
Awesome. What is your company called?
The company is called Memcorp Immersive Learning, and that's not based on my name. It's based on the idea of memetics, because memetics really create learning and shift as we humans learn, because there are two formats of learning. One is genetic learning and the other is memetic learning, and humans learn through memetics more than genetics.
Awesome. How did you find yourself in this space of learning games?
Well, it was quite by accident, to be honest. I started out in IT. I worked with Delta Airlines and Walmart for a couple of years. And in this time, I would always want to do different types of learning interventions and engagements with my teams. And finally, when I finished a major project with Walmart, I said, maybe it's time to take stock and figure out what I really want to do. And that's when I got into learning, quite by accident, because I was working at a company where they had a training program, and I attended the program, and the facilitator said, you have a great presence, maybe you can become a facilitator. And that's kind of how the ball got rolling. So I jumped into the training fraternity, and a couple of years later, I started building games for learning. So that's kind of how that happened.
That's pretty cool. So, I think a lot of people who get into the learning space, even though we think games are cool, we don't necessarily design them, develop them. What's your day-to-day look like? How do you get from point A to point B when someone says, hey, we want a learning game?
Yeah, so it's actually a mixed bag, because most of the clients that we work with, or at least that we encounter, want games built, but they don't always have the budgets for them, unfortunately. And that's, expectable, right? Because in the industry, people don't understand the quantum of work that goes into building a game. So what we've done is we do two types of work. One is where we build the games ourselves for our clients, where we give them the IP and the rights and everything. And the other is where we build games that can be used and reused by a number of clients. For those of them who don't have the budgets for building brand new games, we've got some off-the-shelf games as well. So a typical day might look like interacting with some clients, customizing some games here and there, building the right kind of game mechanics that serve the purpose of the program. And in other cases, like a major ride-sharing company that we're working with right now, that wanted to build a game for induction programs, so in order to simulate the entire work ecosystem. So when new people join the company, they could play this game and they could learn everything there is to learn about the ride-sharing industry, for that matter. I cannot hear you. I think you're on mute.
I absolutely was. I said that sounds like a lot of fun and really effective way to learn and get that experiential learning going.
Yeah, it is a really unique and interesting way to learn. One of the things that we tap into a great deal is iterative design to or approach to learning, because a lot of times when you do something and then you do it over again, you're able to draw a lot more learning from that experience. In other words, let's say you were to play a game, like one of our games that we're hosting this Friday or Thursday or Friday, and you were to play the game. Obviously, the first time you play the game, you might understand some of the mechanics. You might be able to even move some of the components in the game and metrics in the game. But when you play the game again, you're able to make a lot more impact in the game ecosystem. Kind of like life, right? When you do something and then you do it over again, you're better at it because you've acquired a certain skill. And that's what games allow us to do. They allow us to experiment with new behaviors, with new practices, learning new skills, and more than anything else, practice those skills in a real lifelike context.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if you were going to give advice to somebody who thought this was awesome and they wanted to pursue a career in game design for learning, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say start off by playing a lot of games because there are so many professionals that are wanting to build games that I know are not playing enough games. And I know this sounds a little cliche, but play a lot more games because you'll understand the different dynamicism of the games. And I don't just mean video games. I'm actually emphasizing a lot more on board games. And I mean, I don't know if you can relate to this, but a lot of people that I come across when I talk to them about board games, they usually think of like Monopoly or something like that, right? And
Right.
Monopoly is not considered a board game at all. For starters, you might look at a game like Catan, which is a really interesting and interactive multiplayer board game. And then you can look at Pandemic, which is a collaborative co-op multiplayer game. So bottom line is play a lot more games and try to understand the game mechanics and nuances, and then build something. I mean, don't wait till you get a certification around it. Build a small little mini game, see how people play it, and then just go from there.
I think I'm gonna have to start playing more board games. Do you have a favorite?
Well, my favorite is Imhotep, which is named after the Egyptian builder. His Egyptian name is Imhotep, but Imhotep is the name of the game and it's pronounced in English. It's a really beautiful cube brick laying game. I mean, I can even show it to you now if you've got the time. I've got it, but I don't want to take the time away from the interview on
After we cut, we'll check out the game. That sounds
that.
awesome.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Is there anything else you want to share with the people who are watching right now before I let you go?
I think the only thing that I would, when it comes to games and change, I would encourage everybody to invest enough time in understanding the difference between gamification and game-based learning or immersive learning. And because a lot of times I hear a lot of professionals interchanging these words, gamification with game-based learning, but they're two very different things. I've done a video on this on YouTube as well, which was designed to help people gain an understanding of what the difference is. And another thing is to, when you are using games for learning, focus on the behavior and not on the outcome. Well, because the behavior will link to the outcome. And when you create a shift in the behavior or the skill or the competence, then the outcome will automatically get achieved in the process.
That is great advice. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you would be so kind, I will make sure that link goes below. And for those of you watching, there will be some great information so you can find Mohsin and see some of the awesome work he's doing below. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. It's been a pleasure to speak with you and to learn from you.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time on Learning Pro Intros. Bye-bye.